All right, so we'll start from where we left yesterday. We talked about creating a root account. We creating making it MFA protected, and we covered some general topics yesterday. Uh, so what I just wanted to show here is I'm just trying to show this is just to give you some idea. If you don't understand, leave it. I just wanted to put it in my perspective so that you get an idea. So I'm going to draw a picture of one of the region. Let's say this is Amazon's Virginia region. Okay, I'm just drawing it here. And we will be using this type of drawings when we get on to the VPC design. But I think it might make some sense if I give you an idea right now so that you can slowly picturize yourself. So this is internet. I'm just drawing here. This is internet. From the internet, Amazon will have the region will have a connection and all. We'll understand what that is and all later. So this is a region. In region, let's say this is Virginia region, and Virginia region has how many availability zones? They have 5 availability zones actually. So if you look at Virginia location, uh, let me just go here. We are in Virginia. I'm not wiping off that, but if you look here, you can see that right now I am in Virginia. You can see here the service status here. It says everything is good. Virginia, and Virginia, you see 1 US East dash 1A, 1C, 1D, and 1E. You're missing 1B here, correct? So actually, Virginia has 5 data centers, but a customer will only get 4. Now, for me, for my account, I don't have B. But if Anudeep or Ali Baker or Stanley go and create an Amazon account, you might sometimes see a B, whereas you may not see a C or a D. So it is randomly picked up at the time of your creation, but once it is done, then you cannot change. So I will never get availabilities on B. So every customer gets 4 out of 5 availabilities on. So you can put your servers, you can put your services across any of these 4 data centers. So I'm just drawing the picture here. Let's say this is all the 4 availability zones in that Virginia region. So I'm actually drawing the Virginia region here. Okay. So this is 1-A, 1-C, 1-D, and 1-E. These are the 4 availability zones that I have. So these are the 4 data centers. Now, in these data centers is where you create instance. So when you create an instance, you basically create an instance here. You can create another instance here. You can create instances or servers inside these data centers. And there are many other things come up. You get to create networks, you create security groups, firewalls, all these things you do it here. Now, why I draw this part here is like this. There are many services that are region specific. Now, for example, I just showed you earlier S3. S3 is the storage. It is actually a storage service. S3 stands for 3 S's. S3 stands for simple storage service. Simple storage service. That is S3. EC2, we talked about EC2. EC2 is E and 2C, EC2. Elastic Compute Cloud. I'm just drawing. I hope you can read it. Elastic Compute Cloud. Okay. that is EC2. S3 stands for Simple Storage Service. So S3 is generally considered as a service. It is sitting here in the general area. That means, understand, S3 is also region specific. There is an S3 in Virginia. There is another S3 in Oregon. There is another S3 in Ireland and London and things. Every region has an S3. But that S3 is not availability zone specific. It is available across all the availability zones. Now, when we learn S3, I will talk about that little more. Actually speaking, I think there are storage guys. Basically speaking, Amazon has some storage array here. Amazon has some storage array here. They have some storage, S3 is storage, so there is definitely some backend storage there, but we don't manage that. So they have a storage in every availability zones. That means in every data center they have a copy of that storage. So S3 is in fact available in every data center, but they have doing replication. So if you write something into S3, it is basically get replicated to all these locations. So that is why you don't see any particular availability zone when you talk about S3. You just say S3 as general, but in the backend, Amazon has actually the availability of S3 storage. They say 99.9999. There is actually 11 nines. Now each of these 9 has its significance. Actually they say there is 11 nines availability for S3. So what they are guaranteeing is the chance for anything that is getting lost in something stored in S3 is very, 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 very minimal. It is highly available. They have some replication. So when you write something, it gets stored in all the things. So that is all managed by Amazon. It is not our job to worry about it. As long as you see S3, that is it. So it is regional. It is not availability or zone specific. Yesterday, we created something called as SNS, Simple Notification Service. This is the service that is used for sending email notifications, SMS notifications. Again, SNS is region specific. Now, SNS may have backend. There are a lot of components, which is not, we don't have to be worried about it. It is not the job of every Amazon administrator to worry about how SNS is really working at the back end, and Amazon never revealed that. Even if you go to any documentation, you never can find out how really the SNS service is available across all these data centers. Probably they may have some mail servers or notification servers in every availability zone and things like that, but for an end user like us, we don't have to worry about it. SNS is a service, S3 is a service. These services are available across the region. Not only SNS, there are many other services that are also available across the region. So I just wanted to explain that. I'm just wiping off this picture. You don't need to worry about it, but I just want to show you or tell you quickly a couple of things. EC2 means you create service. It is not region specific. You create in every availability zone. But services like S3, EFS, Glacier, when you create, I think CloudFront, Route 53. Route 53 is again a region specific. It is not for a particular availability zone. SQS, SNS, SES, all these are different messaging services. They're all actually region specific. There are certain things that are global in nature. For example, IAM. When you create a user in IAM, in Identity and Access Manager, that is global. That is not even within a region. It is across the globe. Whether your user is in London or in Mumbai or in Canada or in Virginia, it doesn't matter. When you create a user, it is global. So what I want you to tell you is you got to understand that there are certain services in the Amazon console that are global in nature. There are certain services that are region specific. There are certain things that are only in a particular availability zone. Does that make sense? So keep that in mind. We will, as we learn, you will learn more about it. Okay, and that is very key in understanding the architecture of this. And this is where a lot of people do mistakes. Okay, even I see some experienced people think that S3 is in particular. Oh, okay, what happens if that availability zone goes down? What happens to my S3? Does anything happens? No. S3 is highly available across the different availability zones. So Jacob Joseph is asking a question. Um, if I create an instance in a region, so first question is, Jacob, you cannot create an instance in a region actually. Yes, you can say I'm going to create an instance in a region, but you are not creating in a region, you are actually creating in an availability zone. That is the true fact. So when you create an instance in an availability zone within a region, it is not going to get replicated. It is not available anywhere else. It is a single point, a single instance. That is it. There is no concept about replication or anything. And I told you that in yesterday's class. There is absolutely no replication concept in Amazon. So if you create an instance, that is created in one location. That's it. Ravi is asking a question, how do you identify global and regional services? Global and regional services, as I said, look here now, I'm going to create an Ec2 instance. When I click on Ec2, you can see that this is an Ec2 dashboard. This is in Virginia. If I go back here and if I click a SNS topic, if I want to create a SNS topic, you can see that I'm creating this topic, and we created yesterday a topic here, and that is in Virginia. So that is region specific. Whereas now look at it, if I click a IAM user, you can see that it changed to global. So by looking at that here, you can see that it is a global or is it region specific. Okay. So again, Srikanth is asking another question. IAM is global, so if someone has a permission to it accessing anything globally, like moving data from one location to another location, yes, IAM is global, so it's all done through permissions. It is actually done through permissions and roles. So so we will learn what is policies and all. It's all done based on permissions. You create a user, and that user can go and create an instance in Mumbai or London or anywhere where he can create, which VPCs can create, what type of instances can create. Everything is done through permissions. So yeah, that's how it is controlled. Okay. Now Devinder is having another question. I think there's too many questions. I think I may have to put, that's fine, I'll answer. But Devinder is having another question. If there is no replication of your instance, then how do you make sure it is protected? That is backup. Now, now there is techniques for backing up, snapshotting, things like that. We will learn as we get into it. Amazon has some techniques. You can also use some third-party products. You can replicate also using some third-party products, but Amazon by itself does not provide anything. So if you get on to EC2, and that is what we're going to focus, probably today and tomorrow we will be focusing on EC2, how to create instance and what are the properties. So when you have an instance, you have so many instances, you can create snapshots, you can create volumes. So once you understand snapshots and volumes and AMIs, you will understand the answer for your question, Davinder. How do you provide backups and stuff like that? Okay. All right, so I think let us start from here. So there is, I know I gave you in one of my demo classes, let me just unmute a few more people here who joined later. Nasir Reddy. I did see, okay. Vinisha Yana. Okay, Vinisha, Yana, I have a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So you are from Avco?
Yes.
You are from Avco, right?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, I just want to know because there was a
Yeah.
confusion for that. Hold on one second. I just want to make a. Okay, it is there. Okay, cool. All right. So I think there are a couple of ladies here, guys. You please ask questions, okay? Just like only the crying baby gets the milk. So please ask questions, okay? Uh, don't worry about it. At least use the chat or use the thing if you don't have questions. Because if you don't understand what I'm teaching, every step we moving forward, one or the other way things are related to it. So as we get on to VPC and complex designs and of the network, um, it becomes a little more difficult. And many of you are coming from development backgrounds. You want to get on to DevOps, you want to learn more automations and all. But here the class is all about the infrastructure. So basically you are learning kind of a complete data center. And I was mentioning in my first demo, in cloud, there is no network admin, there is no storage admin, there is no server admin, there is only one administrator who is a cloud administrator who should know everything. So it doesn't mean that you may not end up in having a cloud administrator. Those who are developers probably will not end up as a cloud administrator. Rather, you understand the whole concept. When you understand the concept, you know what instances, you know what S3 is, you know what security groups are, you know how storage is done, how permissions are done. So when you develop an application, you run into issues, you can easily figure out where the problem is. Otherwise, you don't know what happens. And then you'll say, okay, let me ask my cloud administrator, and he will say something. But now that you know the backend, you can question him back. Hey, you know what is that? That is what makes you an architect. That is what makes you one step above your colleagues. So keep that in mind, and that should be your focus. Okay. So understanding this infrastructure is not just think that, oh, okay, I may not be doing it. I don't want to do servers. I don't want to do networking. That is not my thing. I'm a programmer. I wanted to develop cloud applications. Yes, but if you want to develop a good application and if you want to make it successfully released in production, you have to have a good understanding of the infrastructure, and that is how you get differentiated from other people. And I know many guys in my past 22 years of experience, believe me, I have seen guys who are just siloed. Oh no, I don't get into that. I only know development. I only do that. I don't want to know about what is happening. I think that is a failure. You should not do that. When you work in that environment, you should try to understand every pieces that touches uh, your environment, and that is how you become an architect. In architects, there is no training for architect, there is no course for architect. An architect is built by yourself, by knowing everything. Just keep that in mind, okay? All right, so when you go to Amazon, you go to EC2, so compute, that is what we're going to start with. A recently visited services you will show here. But anyway, when you click on EC2 here, you see here, this is called as an EC2 dashboard, where you can create instances. Nobody says in Amazon, they don't say creating instances. Nobody say VMs here. Here we call everything as instances. A VM in Amazon is called as an instance. You don't create an instance, rather we use the word called launch an instance. That is how you create an instance. So in this screen you can see how many instances are running. You can see how many volumes. Volumes are nothing but the hard disk of your VMs or of your instances. Key pair is the a technique where you can get the password of it. We'll see elastic IP address. We'll see what snapshots are. We'll learn load balances. Security groups are firewalls. I have 22 security groups there. So we'll see all that things. We will be learning all that things. So here you can see the EC2 dashboard, and we are in Virginia. So if we are creating an instance, that will be getting created in Virginia data center.
Hi, Deepa. I have a question here.
Yeah.
When you see there, it says like 0 running instances and 0 dedicated hosts. So what's the difference between like instant and host? If you see in VMware, like host is like the ESXi, the server, and instant is the VM. And here, like, how is the difference?
That is same. Here also it is same. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
That is a different thing. So we'll get on to dedicated host later. Very costly affair, but dedicated. So in cloud, that's a good point. Actually, you raised a good question. So this is what I like. So keep asking that type of questions. So maybe I'll be able to talk a little more. So in cloud. Have you heard about something called as a multi-tenant environment? These are technical terms, and if you have a pen and paper, I would say, write down these terminologies. When you go for interviews, when you're talking to customers, these terminologies has very much power, so try to use some good technical words so that your interviewer will be happy. People listening to will be, oh man, that's good. So what is a multi-tenant environment? Can anybody tell me?
I think it's like multi-user or something like that.
Okay. Anybody else?
It's a shared environment.
I'm telling that Amazon is a multi-tenant environment.
Because it's a shared environment, multiple company can use.
Correct.
No, a group of people who share the common access.
Multi-tenant means it's not multiple resources. Multi-tenant means multiple companies can use it. So I want to explain this. And this is one of the biggest concerns in Amazon, in cloud, not in Amazon, in general in cloud. For example, I think, let's say my company, your company has your own data center. And you have a VMware ESX server. Let's say this is ESX server 1, and this is another ESX server. I'm not going to get into the ESX clustering and all here. This is ESX server 2 and this is ESX server 3. Okay. So let's say this is a 3-node ESX cluster. And in this ESX server, you are running VMs, multiple VMs you are running here. And this is all in your company's data center, correct? All these VMs belongs to your company. You manage it. You do that. Everything. No worries here. This belongs to you. This belongs to you. Everything belongs to you. And these VMs can move back and forth, vMotion and all. You can move the VMs from here to here. You can migrate it. You can cold migrate it. You can do hot migration. A hot migration in VMware is called as vMotion. A cold migration is just a cold migration. A powered off VM you can move. Things like that. Those who know VMware probably know what is hot and cold. But a hot migration is called a vMotion. That means you are migrating a running machine from one server to another. Anyway, this is called as a single tenant environment or your own company's environment. This is how every company today. You don't have to worry about somebody looking at your VMs or anything. But when it comes to cloud, when it comes to Amazon or any cloud environment, they also have a virtualization server, if it is rack space, or if you're using AT&T's Synopsys or any of that cloud, they are using ESX server, or VMware vCloud Air, they use ESX. But what is the hypervisor Amazon uses to create VMs or create instances? What is the hypervisor Amazon uses?
Citrix
Zen server, correct? So this is a Zen server 1, Zen server 2, and Zen server 3. And Amazon, you can create VMs here. But here the problem is, these VMs are created by multiple companies. So if you look here, you can see that different companies are creating their VMs here, and they are sharing VMs on the same hypervisor. For example, look at this third server. This server is running 3 VMs or 3 instances, but 3 instances belongs to 3 different companies. Maybe one is Citibank and another one is Chase. Big competitors. Are you confident running that? If you are a pharmaceutical company, just imagine, Pfizer or Wyeth or somebody, or, major financial company, they may be doing some highly confidential research and things like that. This is a server where they are maybe researching for the latest medicine. And the other server, can you run that? They are all sharing the resources from that. So this kind of an environment where multiple companies running their VMs on a shared infrastructure is called as a multi-tenant environment. Make sense? So cloud, especially public cloud, is a multi-tenant environment. Now, the reason I started this discussion is based on Yogendra's question. He asked me what is dedicated host. So let's say my company is having some highly confidential information, which I definitely don't want to take a risk. I mean, Amazon 100% guarantees that even though this is 3 companies, this is Goldman Sachs, this is Citibank, and this is Chase, three financial companies, VMs are running on the same server, there is no way, absolutely there is no way that this user or the user on this server can see or access or compromise, or that's the right word actually, can compromise this server or this server, even though they are running on the same Xenserver. It is not possible. And that is where we learn VPC and things like that. And there is also hypervisor level securities are there. There is a lot of things Amazon has done at the back end, and you as an administrator also do certain things. We will be learning those things in going forward classes. But there is no way you can do that. But hackers and all, somebody, if somebody can somehow compromise this hypervisor, okay, now I'm talking about a little different scenario here. If somebody can compromise this hypervisor, then probably again, I'm not saying 100%, that guy could probably access all these VMs or all the data or something. Okay, I don't know what it is, but let us assume that if somebody can compromise the hypervisor, they can probably take advantage of all these servers. Now remember, if you remember the picture that I showed you here, in a cloud infrastructure, especially in infrastructure as a service, who manages virtualization? You manage, or the cloud provider manages it?
Provider.
Cloud provider.
So in our case, in Amazon case, Amazon manages this, correct? So if somebody, it is not in your hand, it is not, absolutely not in your hand. If somebody compromise the Xenserver, then there is a possibility that your VMs can be compromised, which belongs to somebody else. So I don't want to take that risk, and especially big pharmaceutical companies where they are doing highly confidential research and all, they don't want to do that. So is there a way I can get my own Xenserver? It is possible. In Amazon, there is an option called a dedicated host, where you can have a Xenserver just for you, and you can build VMs or instances on that which will only belongs to you. So this whole thing belongs to you. Even Xenserver is still managed by them, but there will not be any other customer's VM here. So it is possible to have dedicated host, but tell me, is this VM will be costlier or this VM will be costlier? Let's say this is A and this is B. which one will be costlier?
A will be costlier.
A will be 5 times costlier than B, because Amazon has to give you a dedicated server, all that things, and you can have it, but you have to end up paying a lot of money. So it is up to you whether you want to do that. So normally I would say 90% time companies won't use this dedicated host unless otherwise there is a real concern. And initially, believe me, when we started, my company started moving to cloud, we had we thought a lot about going for dedicated host, but when we saw the billing, we thought, man, that is not going to make any sense. It is too much costly. If that's the case, then I will run them in my on-prem data center. Why should I move it to cloud? If you're moving into cloud, take advantage of that multi-tenant environment, take advantage of that shared infrastructure, and get the cost benefit. If you are going to, it is just like a call-log. You are asking Amazon to build a server for you, and you build your own VMs there. You can, but you're going to end up paying a lot of money. Okay.
Quick question. This is still in the same data center, right? This dedicated host can be a separate Xenserver, but it's still in same data center where the other company will have their shared VM, right?
That is correct. That is correct. So that is the thing. So there are certain risks. Even it is not only the same thing. In fact, the storage at the back end is still shared also. That is what they don't say that, but it is kind of shared also. It is only the hypervisor. We are talking about the compromising of that kernel. And there are ways people can compromise the kernel of the hypervisor. That is what we are talking about. I'm not talking about the storage. In fact, all these VMs are sitting in a shared storage. Probably this will also be in that same storage. So if somebody compromises the storage, that chances are less. Storage is more of a data at rest. There is Amazon managed. I'm not worried about Amazon. You have to understand. Okay, Amazon, you can believe Amazon has an NDA. When you get into a contract with Amazon, they sign an NDA for you. If you think that your thing is compromised, Amazon will have to pay you millions of dollars back to you if it is because of an Amazon fault. It is not about Amazon fault, but there are other things. So if somebody compromised this hypervisor, that is a thing. So okay, Muthu, your question is correct. It is in a shared data center. It is all sitting. They are not going to build a data center for you. Now, if you pay, probably they might. I'm not sure, but dedicated host concept is just a host. Don't look into other things. Many things that are shared still. Okay. So, I mean, just from that question, we moved a lot, diverted over, but, that was very important topic. I wanted to talk about, we will look into dedicated hosts. So
I have a quick question here.
Yeah.
So is dedicated host called private cloud, or is it different?
No, but dedicated host in Amazon is not called as private cloud. A private cloud is private cloud is a cloud that you can build in your own data center, is called private cloud, but you can also build a cloud in external data center. For example, SunGuard. SunGuard is SunGuard is a big data center solution providers. Your company can go and build a set of servers and build your own cloud there. You manage everything. When I say private cloud, in a private cloud, you manage everything. You manage virtualization, you manage storage, you manage everything. Amazon does not provide that. But if you want to build a cloud in SunGuard or in Rackspace, you can build a private cloud there. But normally when people say private cloud, it is a cloud within your infrastructure, within your own data center. So dedicated host is not a private cloud. Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. So let us slowly get on to this thing. I'm going to create another instance now. I wanted to show, we did look at instance. When you create an instance, there are certain things that you won't understand until we learn VPC and other things. But let us go and create one more instance, and I wanted to talk about quite some stuff during that period. Okay, so I'm going to create an instance. Now, I think all of you have created your own cloud account. So when you create an Amazon account, you will get something called as a default VPC. You will see something called as a VPC. Don't worry about what a VPC is, how to create a VPC, but by default, when you create an Amazon creates a VPC for you. So when you are creating an instance, you are actually putting that in that VPC. But how to build a VPC, how to architect a VPC, we will learn when we get on to the VPC design here. So this is where the VPC is. This is probably the most interesting and most important topic. We will be looking at this later, virtual private cloud. Now, you just mentioned about a private cloud, but I will talk about that. How can you make your own private cloud within the public cloud? We will get into that, Parik. Okay. So can you create a private cloud inside Amazon? Actually, everybody creates a private cloud, but in general, it is a public cloud. I will explain that when we get into it. But anyway, VPC is a very important topic. There are different types of VPCs. You can create VPC with single public subnet, private public subnets, with VPN, with many settings. There are different scenarios here. How to build VPC and all, but you don't have to do it. I would say don't even look into this right now. But by default, when you create an account, you will have a VPC. If you look at my case, you can see that there are multiple, you can see that this is a class 8 VPC, class 9 VPC. So we will be building a new VPC class 10 VPC. And as I build it, I want all of you to start building it. Don't get into trying that, because that will, you can create it by clicking a few buttons, it will automatically create, but understanding the concept of how to build that VPC is very important. So when you build a VPC, there is a lot of things you need to, this is the core of networking in Amazon, where you create subnets, you create route tables, internet gateways, DHCPs and IP addresses and gateways. A lot of things are here. Very important topic. We will come back and learn about this at a later point. Right now, let's try to understand how to create instances in Amazon, the properties of an instance, what all you can do with an instance, just like answering to Davinder's question about how do you back up an instance. How can I move an instance from one location to another? What are the properties of an instance? How can I attach network cards? What is instance? What are the different properties of instance? So many things you need to understand about instance, and it is very important because when you are building, if your database guy come to you and say, hey, I need 2 database servers, you cannot simply build a T2 instance for that. You need to understand the properties of an instance, and based on the need, based on the use, based on the performance requirements, you have to pick and choose the right instance and configure the instance the way the customer needs it or your business needs it. And that is very important. And this is why I said, even if you are a developer, you may not be doing this, but you can always tell your cloud administrator, hey, you know what? I need this type of an instance. I know what it is. I know what is that instance means because I know cloud. Are you using this? Because for my application, I want this performance. I want this type of settings. So get me an instance like this. Is what probably a developer or a person who wants to get on to DevOps will learn from this class. Okay. So let's go and create an instance. Once again, I'm going to do it. So creating an instance, that means I'm going to create. So Amazon has so many Xenservers in their data center. We don't know which data center, we don't know which cluster. That is not our headache. And there are highly technical virtualization engineers working day and night in Amazon's data center to provide us these services. It is not our headache whether an ESX server or a Xen server goes down. That is, they take care of it. But for me, I just need to build an instance right now. So to start using Amazon EC2 instance, you can do that. Before that, I just wanted to talk about one more thing here. So there is actually a service health dashboard here, very useful thing. I have seen, though Amazon says they have a highly 99.999 availability and their services are great, I have seen in my past 3 years of Amazon, I have seen at least 2 or 3 times outages. Not an entire outages, but there was a couple of times some big outages. It is always good to know this particular status.amazon.com. That's a link where you can see all the Amazon services and their current service status. You can see in North America, this is in Northern California, in Ohio, Virginia, all the services, every service. If there is any service is having any problem, you will see that here. You can see Route 53 is running, everything. So global services are global. Route 53 is global. You can see these services are running for example, Amazon Symbol DB. It is in California. It is in Virginia. If you look at, Workmail, the different region-specific things. So you can see all the things. And then you can also see different status of different services on a daily basis. You can go up to 2 months, I believe, here. So you can see today is Jan 15th, Jan 16th, yesterday, Jan 15th. You can see all these services were working fine. Amazon CloudFront for the last 10 days, no issues. If you come down, scroll down, if there is any problem, see here, there is a problem here. In Virginia, EC2 instances had a problem on January 10th. There was a problem. Some problem was there in EC2. So this is how you can find out, because when you have some issues and all, this is where you need to come and look at it. So look at in EC2, there was an outage in Oregon as well as in Virginia. And if you click on there, you can see that 1:16 p.m. We are investigating increased error rates for the EC2 management console and some describe APIs in the US East 1 region. Between 12:36 and 1:50 p.m. we experience elevated error rates, management. So some issues, it doesn't mean that the entire EC2 had problems. Nobody couldn't create any. Maybe, the dashboard is having problem. If the EC2 dashboard is having problem, can you imagine what will happen? Can you create any new instance?
No, we cannot.
No, that's why I asked the question. You can still create using many command line operations, backend scripts and all you can create, but your console is not working. So, if anybody wanted to create an instance using console, or you wanted to start and stop an instance using console, you may be in trouble. So, there was a problem, and it was not lasted for a long time. It was, I'm looking at around an hour and a half outage. There is also some problem happened in Ohio or Oregon. So looking at the reason I came here is, this is an awesome stuff. Always use status.aws.amazon.com to see the status of Amazon's different services across the globe. Okay. Open personal health dashboard. I don't know what it is. I'm seeing first time. Let's just give it a chance and see what it is. I don't know. This is something new they just started. I think, this is a resource group. We'll talk about that. I don't know, but you can create your own servers and stuff, and probably you will be able to see that. Amazon adds new things every day. Okay, so I won't be able to answer all the things, but these are things that you can explore. I think you may be able to set up your own environments, and you can watch them also. Cool. Okay. So right now here itself it says, Amazon Virginia looks great, no issues. So we're going to create an instance. So I just want to talk a little bit about this. We will come back and see how to create this. So there is something called as AMIs, and sometimes, expert VMware guys use the word AMI. If somebody say AMI, that means AMI. AMI stands for Amazon Machine Image. Those who know VMware virtualization, I'll tell you, an AMI is exactly same as a VMware template. These are built-in templates. So what is a template? Anybody?
Basically, I
Actually,
think
in general words, what is a template? I mean, anybody can, those who don't even know any virtualization, what is a template means?
I think it's a pre-populated reference you can use.
Right. A template is something like a cookie cutter thing. Once you have something, you can make multiple copies of that. Correct?
Right.
Something like a prototype.
Right. So you can create a template. So so what Amazon is doing is, this is what they do. They build a new instance. Let's say this is a Windows Server 2012 R2 server. They build a server and then they install some services. They install some other things, monitoring tools, services, hard disk configuration, memory configuration, all that things they do, and they patch it to the latest Microsoft patches, everything, and then they shut down this instance. They don't delete it, they shut down this instance, and then using a technique called image, and we will be learning that. By using a technique called image, they create an AMI. An AMI is a image of a server which is powered off. Okay, this is also powered off. What is inside this image? It is basically a clone copy of this server, the same exact server in a compressed form. If this is around 100 gig, an AMI will be only probably 20 gig or maybe less than that, depending on how much data it is used. So it is a compressed image with all the settings here. And this AMI can be used by all of you guys, Kashif and Coyote and Kader and Manish and Stanley and Elton, and you can all use this to deploy your own Windows 2012 R2 server. So I can use this AMI and build 3 servers. They are all, is these 3 servers going to be Windows 2016 or 2012 or 2008? What will be this thing? If I use this AMI, what will be the operating system on this? They're all going to be
2012 R2.
It is all going to be 2012 R2, but during that deployment of AMI, you have an option to give it a different name. You can call this as X, you can call this as Y, you can call this as Z, and when Kashif is deploying, he can deploy 2 servers, he can call it as A and B, you can give it a different IP address, you can do that, but in essence, the core operating system, the properties, the software, everything is exactly same. So this is what an AMI. And we will see how to create AMI. We will learn how to create AMIs. You can have your own AMIs, custom AMIs. You can use public AMIs. You can have Amazon provided AMIs. So there are so many AMIs, and that is what we're going to learn that first. Okay, so let's go and look at our dashboard. So if you can see here in AMI, you can see here owned by me. See, this is an AMI that we created in my last class, class 9 Windows 2012 AMI. This is a AMI we built in the last class. There is some work you need to do in order to create an AMI. Now when you have an AMI, I can right click on that AMI and I can launch instances from that. I can create VMs or I can create instances from that AMI. So if I launch an instance from that AMI, what will happen? It will be 2012 server, correct? So like that, Amazon has a public images. These are different public available AMIs from different companies. There are different things. So if you look at you can see that there are different owners. Everybody is different companies. I don't know what this is. So if you look at the details of it, probably you know what it is. These are all, there's a Ubuntu box is there. There is something, there is so many public AMIs are available. There is private images are available. We'll talk about all that later. But Amazon, by default, Amazon has so many AMIs. We will look into that. So what I'm going to do now is, so that is AMI. We will come back AMI. I just want to get you a feel of what an AMI is so that you know what we are doing is. So what we are going to do now is, don't worry about all these things. We are going to get into the instances. We want to build an instance. So click on the instance and say launch instance. We already have one instance. This is the instance that we built in the last class. So it is currently powered off. It is created in the US 1-A availability zone. It is in the Virginia region. It has an instance ID. Every instance will have an ID number, and that is how Amazon know that, and I told you. And then you can give a tag. You can always say, this is called as a tag. I can call it as my server, and then you click on OK, that becomes my server. This is just a name that this is called as a tagging, and you can have up to 10 tags on a server. We will talk about tagging. Tagging is very, very important in a cloud environment because you have so many servers, so many instances. If you do not have tagging, and I think everybody know what tagging is, you use Facebook and all, you tag it, right? So you should tag it so that you can search, and when you tag it, in my environment, we have development servers, we have production servers, we have UAT servers, hundreds of servers. And when I click on instances, I'm going to see all the servers in this instance list. But if I want only tag key, I can just do what tag, I can just give my name. I want to say, okay, show me only QA servers. When I do that, all the servers that are having a tag of QA will show up here. So tagging is very, very powerful. You can do a lot of tagging here. I strongly recommend you tag your instances. Now, another thing also you need to understand, you have to be very organized in a cloud environment. If you are not, if you're not organized, it will end up in a big mess, and you might end up doing huge mistakes. Believe me, I myself done mistakes where I have not done proper tagging and I deleted something else. So you have to be very careful. Don't take it light. So everything and anything you put it, use proper naming, proper tagging, so that you know what is what. Okay?
I have a question.
Okay.
Yeah. Is this tagging only for name or anything else? Like anything can be tagged?
What do you mean by anything can be done? Tagging means you can put up to 10 tags. So you can, tagging is something that you want to differentiate. So you can create many tags. I'll show you what is tagging in a minute. We will come back and talk about it. Few minutes.
Because I thought tagging could also be instance ID, instance type, availability zone.
No, you can only tag these things. These things cannot be changed. You cannot change. These are things that are, it is in US 1A. You cannot change that. You cannot change the instance type. You can change the instance type, but tagging is a way for you to understand. You don't even have to have a tag. You can just delete that. You can even have an empty thing here. You don't even name. They don't care about it. You can have a server. It is still a server. It does not have a name. That's it. Okay.
Easy to identify the server, right, for the tag.
Yeah, I mean, it is for you. Amazon does not care. For them, this is what they know. For them, this is the name of, this is how they identify your server. Now, if you can remember this name, you can keep it, but I cannot remember this number, so I'm calling it as my server. So when I look for a server, I can say, okay, I want my server. So
one question. So you say you can have 10 tags for one server?
Yes.
I mean, 10 different names for the same
okay,
server?
I'll show you. Okay, good question. So I think I'll finish off the tagging right now itself. So this is a server. This is a VM or an instance that I created, correct? So you can go to the tagging, say, you can create. So there is already one tag. It is a key value pair you do. That is how you tagging. Tagging will have a key and a value. So you can create more. I told you can create up to 10 tags. Now let me show you one more thing here. You see these 3 buttons here? If you click on this button, it will go up. If you click on this, it will come middle. If you click on this, it will go all the way down. So if you want to do, you don't have to do this drag and drop. You can do it this way also, but this is probably an easy way to arrange or organize your things. Okay, so I would always do like this. So we are on this server. This is the tag. Right now it has one tag, a name key and the name. I'm going to create another tag. I'm going to call it as environment. Now you will understand. I'm going to call it as prod. I created another tag. Did I delete the other one? Okay. We will call it as department. I'm going to call it as HR. Why am I doing this? I want to add a tag. I think I'm missing somewhere here. Hold on. Okay, I'm doing the same thing here, guys. So I have to do this create tag here. Okay. So here, environment. I'm going to call it as prod. Okay. And then I'm going to create another one, department, environment, owner. I'm going to call it as, Mike. So I created 3 tags for this server now. For that VM, I have created 3 tags and the name. Okay, you have to create the name tag also. Name is my server 001. That's the name of the server. All right. Now look at it. Now it makes sense. That name is showing there, but the server also has different things. So I can always come and search. When you have thousands of servers, but you want only the servers that belongs to Mike, will it help you? When you type, show me all the servers that belongs to Mike, owner, it will show all the things, so all the servers that belongs to Mike here. Are you guys getting what I'm saying? That is the beauty of tag. That is what is tagging for. That is nothing to do with it. That has nothing to do with your server, but tagging is a way for you to organize and manage things.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Everybody is clear on that? Tagging is very important, and I would say you should at least use 3 or 4 tags so that you can separate your server with departments, environments, name, and now you come up with what you want to tag. Now, especially when you're developers and all, you may want to put different names for your servers.
Is tagging only for filtering purpose? Or is
yeah, it is not only for filtering. It is not only for filtering. It is used when you are doing, that is, I'm not covering those topics at that, some very advanced, CLI operations and all, you could actually use tags to take advantage of your scripting needs. So when you're doing some powerful scripting in Amazon, you could actually take advantage of scripting. Sandeep, check, I don't see you on phone. I am not able to unmute you. I don't see that you are muted. In fact, yeah, let me see. I can unmute you. Okay. Yeah, I cannot unmute you. I think you're muted in your phone. Okay. For me, it shows that you are muted by yourself. I have not muted you. Okay. All right. So let's move on, guys. So this is tagging. We talked a lot of things. So let's go and create an instance here. So I'm going to create an instance in Virginia. Or let's go and create an instance. Okay, we'll create an instance let's create an instance in Mumbai. What do you think? Let's create an instance in Mumbai. So in Mumbai, there is no instances at this point. I'm going to create a new instance. And when I click on instance, they are saying, okay, step 1, choose an Amazon machine image. Choose an image. Amazon is saying, hey, you know what? These are all the different names. So if you have your own AMIs, you can go to Marketplace, you can go to community AMIs. These are all community driven. You can create an AMI and put it in the community and it can be used by somebody else. But these are AMIs that are provided by Amazon. They have 29 of them. So if you look at it, you can pretty much see all the operating systems there. Amazon Linux. Amazon Linux is pretty much the same Linux, but Amazon's version of Linux. Lot of companies use that. If you want Amazon Linux, it is nothing different from a Red Hat. I think pretty much very same as Linux. So it is much more cheaper. You know, you don't have to pay any licensing and all. I think this is probably cheaper. So you can see that, you know, Amazon Linux AMI is an EBS backed AWS support image. Now what is EBS? We will learn. EBS stands for Elastic Block Storage. That is a block storage concept. We will talk about it. There are different type of block storage, you know, SSDs and cold and hot, and different type of EBS blocks are there. We will learn that probably in tomorrow's class. I don't think I'll be able to cover that today. But we will learn what is EBS. EBS is very, very important. This is the hard disk of every instance. You cannot attach an S3 storage to any instance. Just keep that. Okay, Sandeep, now I can unmute you. Okay, good. Now I unmuted Sandeep. Okay, so don't get confused here. We talked about S3. We didn't learn S3. I just mentioned about S3. But just understand that you cannot create a hard disk of a instance using S3. Okay, S3 is a different type of storage. It is called as an S3 object storage. So you never can attach S3 storage to an instance, period. The only storage that you can attach to an instance is an EBS storage, and there is also a different type of a storage called ephemeral storage. I will talk about what is ephemeral storage little later. But anyway, this particular instance or an AMI that is having EBS storage. We will learn EBS later. And they are saying the default image includes the image that operating system, that Linux has Amazon command line tools. It has Python, it has Ruby, it has Perl, it has Java, and some Docker containers are there, some PHP is there, MySQL is there, Postgres is there, and other things are there. So you get all these things if you deploy this instance. Whereas if you go for a Red Hat Enterprise Linux, it comes with, and that is on every AMI also has an ID. See that? AMI also has an ID. Very important. We will learn that also a little later. What is the purpose of an ID? Everything has an ID. And this one comes with EBS volumes, but it does not come with any of these Ruby, Perl, Java or anything. So if you deploy an instance or a VM using Red Hat and you want Perl or Python or Java or something, then you have to manually install it. Whereas this gives you everything inbuilt. It's up to you. So you can create your own instance also. It's all up to you. We will learn how to create your own instance, or sorry, your own AMI. We will learn that later. There is SUSE Linux, there is Ubuntu, then there is Windows. You know, you can see the latest and greatest Windows Server 2016 base image. It just comes with a data center edition of the Windows Server. There is a Windows Server with containers. This is Docker containers. You know, I'm not going to get into that. That is totally different from DevOps side. You can have a Windows Server with containers. I think, you know, Ravi Teja, I think we had some discussion about that, right? So, so that is what it is. So I'm not going to get into that right now. There are different types of Windows servers. You see that there are different flavors. You know, you can see Windows Server with SQL Server Web Edition, SQL Server Standard Edition. You can see Windows Server 2012. You can see 2008 servers. There's a lot of flavors of Windows servers are available, and also different things. So you can even there is a Microsoft Windows Server 2003 is available. These are all, what are these things?
That container, does it come with a Docker?
Yeah, let's not talk about containers now. Okay, I don't want to confuse here, and there's a lot of people, so I forget about containers. And again, I am not at all going to talk about containers in this class. It is not my subject. But if anybody want to have a general discussion about containers, we can have it. But Ravi, let's not talk about that right now. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
So what is this? What is this AMIs? What are these things? These are all AMIs, correct?
Templates are template, right?
Correct. So they are all templates. So, and you can see that they are 32-bit versions, all of them. There is, I don't think there is some of them. You can see Windows Server 2008 and 2003. You have 32-bit and 62-bit available. Sorry, 64 and 32 bits. Okay.
Deepu, I have a question here.
Okay.
So what's the deciding factor when choosing these AMIs? Is it just the business need, or I mean, who makes the decision actually? Which one to pick?
It is your business, your need. You have to make the decision. What even you see, you are going to, let's say, Yogendra, you are a cloud administrator, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and Sandeep or Ravi Kiran is your WebSphere administrators. They are coming up with a new middleware application for your company, and they wanted that the middleware to be deployed in the cloud. So they're going to come and tell you that, hey, you know what, I need 5 Windows servers. They will tell you what operating system, right?
Yeah.
So based on what they are saying, you have to pick from here.
Oh, okay.
So if they say they wanted a Windows server, so let's go and deploy a Windows Server 2016. Okay. Have you anybody seen Windows Server 2016? Anybody in this class? Have you seen a
Yes.
Windows Server 16?
No.
Similar to 2012, a little bit.
It's nothing big difference, but there is a lot of difference. But even I have worked on it a little bit, but still I think I'm still very new to this thing. But let us go and see how a Windows Server Windows Server 2016 looks like. So I'm going to select. So you can see that some of the instances, they have a word called free tier eligible. That means you can deploy a 2016 as a free tier, and you have to be careful. So if you go and deploy this instance, SQL Server Standard, you select this, believe me, you will be end up paying money for it, okay? Because it is not available in the free tier. So don't simply go and pick anything from here. These are all going to cost you money, okay? If you want free tier, if you really don't want to pay money, then you have to make sure you pick one of these things that has the word free tier available, okay? So I'm going to go
Hey, Deepu, this is Stanley. So I have one doubt. Free tier means like an OS license is free, or?
No, it's not about OS license is free. I mean, license is also free. Tier means there is no if you run that server for 5 hours or 10 hours, Amazon is not going to charge you any money.
What about the OS license? That is separate, right?
No, OS license is included in this pricing. So if it is free, then they are not going to charge you.
Does that include that 750 hours?
Yes, it is 750 hours. After 750 hours, you start paying for it.
Even that free one?
Yes.
Okay.
So this doesn't mean that free. This means free tier is eligible. Okay, we're going to see that next. So you click on the select button. So now you are picking your image. So I decided that I wanted a 2016 base operating system. So I selected that. And now you choose an instance type. So we talked about instance type. I will get into that in a minute. So that's 1023. Okay. So there are different types of, see, Amazon EC2 provides a wide selection of instance types optimized to fit the user needs. Instances are virtual servers that can run applications, and we talked about that. They have varying combinations of CPU, memory, storage, and networking, and these are the 4 core resources, isn't it? We talked about that in the first class, the 4 resources: CPU, memory, storage, and networking. That is what is computer means. That is what server means. So this is the 4 things that makes a server. And Amazon is going to charge you for those things, for how much ever you use it. So these instance types are meant for different combinations. You cannot go and add and remove it. Always you have to pick and choose. There is in VMware, those who know VMware, when you build a VM, you can always put whatever RAM you want, whatever memory you want, and things like that. You can always change that, correct? But in Amazon, that is not possible. They are pre-built. So if you want, if you say, okay, I want a VM with 1 CPU and 24 gig RAM, it is not possible in Amazon because there is no such instance available. 1 CPU and 24 gig RAM, I don't see anything here. I can have a 8 CPU and 32 gig RAM option is there, but I cannot have a 4 CPU 24. There is not available. But in VMware, in your own environment, you have choice. You can change the memory, you can change the CPU because you manage it. But in Amazon, these are predefined images. So pick and choose the best one. Now, like Yogendra, your question, I'm coming back. So, Ravi Kiran is the middleware guy. He said, he need 5 Windows 2016 servers for the middleware to run his WebLogic or WebSphere application. Now, he might probably tell you from IBM's specifications, he say that, okay, I need this much of memory, this much of storage, this much of CPU, correct? So based on that, you come and pick and choose what is matching there. You may not get the exact thing that they are saying. You have to come and pick the closest match. Okay?
Okay.
That's how you decide. So you as an administrator, but in my experience, I always start with the very small settings, and then we can always change the values. We will see how to change that. That is called as you can change the instance types. You can change the instance types. So you can change that. We will see how to change an instance type in a minute after finishing this particular topic. Anyway, so here, what I wanted to show you here is, hold on 1 second, okay? So there are different type of instance type. I will go to that documentation now. So when we started here, it says that 2000, it says that, where is that? Oh, it says that Windows Server 2016 base is free tier eligible. That means you can build a free tier, but there is only one instance that is free tier, T2 micro. So you can only be, if you do this, you don't have to pay any money. But if you pick this instance, do you have T2 small? Do you have to pay money or not?
Yes.
Yes.
You have to pay money, okay? But it is not that costly. It is a very small server. It has 1 CPU and 2 gig memory. It has low to moderate network performance. Remember yesterday Davinder was asking, okay, how do I know the throughput of my server? So if you want to run high-end data transfer, this may not be a good choice for you. It's a low moderate. So if you want high network thing, then you may want to go something like high. If you want 10 gig or 20 gig, you may want to go for a M4 extra large. But now you think, okay, I need 10 gig. Okay, this is the catch. I need 10 gig network card, but I don't want 160 memory. That is not possible. Whatever is come with it, that is how they make money. Okay, this is how Amazon makes money. If you want 10 gig, you pay for all these things. You cannot have a 10 gig with the 2 gig RAM and 4 CPUs. That's not possible. You getting what I'm saying? So as the instance type changes, the price changes as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, so at this particular point, when you're picking the CPU and the memory and the storage and the throughput, you also want to know the price at this particular point.
Yep.
Because you're selecting that image.
You cannot do that here. So that is where Amazon has excellent documentation. So you can say AWS EC2 Instance. I may show you types first, and then we'll go to the pricing. So if you go to EC2 Instance Types, so when you go to EC2 Instance Type, I just wanted to talk about it. Time is running, guys, but that's fine. I thought of covering little more topics today, but it's not going to happen. So you want to see that Amazon EC2 provides a wide selection of instance types. Please read this, okay? I'm not going to cover all these things. If I start reading, there is unlimited knowledge and data is here. I cannot do that. So all I can give you is a good place where you can start, and I'm telling you, if you want to excel on this, you go to watch videos, you go to read, in 40 hours, I cannot put all this, cloud of information, sea of information to you. But I think what I'm trying here is to give you the complete base, and then you have to explore it. Okay, so EC2 instance types, these are different types of instance, CPU memory and all. So there are different type of instance types. There are something called a general purpose. They are called as T2s. Any instance that has a name T2, they are called general purpose. So here, I just want to read one of them, and then you have to read the other ones. I'll just tell you what is T2 instances have certain behavior. They have certain properties. That means T2 instances are burstable performance instance. Burstable performance means you cannot guarantee that, but they can go up and down. If you have only one CPU, but you want to run something or 4 threads, it will allow you, but you cannot continuously run high-end CPU performance-based applications on a T2. I don't think T2 is not meant for that. But if you want to run a domain controller, or if you want to run a small application server, T2s are probably good. But if you're trying to run a high-end application server, or if you're trying to run a database server, I don't think T2 is a good application. If you are going to do some graphic intensive operation where you need high-end graphics and NVIDIA cards and all, T2s are not a good instance. So here it says, the features, you can see that use cases for T2s: websites and web applications, development environments, building servers, code repositories, microservices, test and staging environments. These are the use cases. If you are planning to do any of these things, testing environment, development environment, small websites and all, you want to run it, you could use any of these things. These are the different T2 models that are available: T2 Nano, T2 Micro, T2 Small, T2 Medium, T2 Large, and things like that. You can see that all these things. And what are they? They run some high-end Intel Xeon processors. Ravi, you just do an Amazon instance types. Just do an Amazon instance types in Google, you will get that. Okay. That's it. I just Googled it, Amazon instance types. So these are features. You can see that these T2 instances come with high frequency Intel Xeon processors. It has a low-cost general purpose in a free tier, eligible only on T2 Micro. They are saying it is eligible only on T2 Micro. It has a balanced compute, memory, and network. That means it's kind of a balance you will get. You won't get high memory or high CPU or high network. You will not don't expect from that. If you are planning to put a T2 and you think that your application is slow, then that itself shows that T2 is not the thing. Now M4 is little more a larger thing. You can see that M4 and M3 are two different type. M4 large, M4 2x large, M4 4x large. As it goes, you can see that they have a more. You can also see that even the storage, the number of IOPS, how many input output operations. IOPS is how you measure the storage. If you are having a high-end write intensive database, you're writing a lot of things to a database, you are writing a lot of things to your hard disk, you cannot put these things. It will be very, very slow. You will see a lot of latency. If you want high-end write throughput, probably you may want to go with something like that. This will give you 10,000 IOPS. M3 comes with, see that M4 is a normal disk, but M3 has SSD storage. Okay, much more faster storage. It will give you some SSD hard drives, solid state hard drives. You will get it. But you can see that, use cases for M3, it's good for small size databases, data processing for ETL and things, Informatica kind of servers, you could use that. For caching servers, backend servers, SAP, Microsoft SharePoint, cluster computing, enterprise applications, they are good, and you have and it has a little more faster gigahertz, cycle processors there. Compute optimized is actually more compute. Compute is a combination of CPU and memory. So these are definitely high-end processors. You can see that high frequency Intel Xeon E5 Haswell processors. So Amazon has, sorry, not Amazon, Intel has so many type of processor families, Penryn processors, Haswell processors, Ivy League, Sandy Bridge, and so Westmere. There are so many different families. I'm not going to, again, if you have attended my VMware class, probably you know the difference between these type of processors and all. But every processor has its own feature set. That means the capabilities are determined with the feature set of a processor. But anyway, compute optimized comes with Intel Xeon E5 version 3 processors that are definitely high-end processors. And you can see that, high performance front-end fleets, web servers, batch process. If you're running a high-end web server where thousands of people are connecting and browsing the website from your server, you definitely want to use a C3 or a C4 instance type, but it will be probably a little more costlier. Memory optimized, R4, more powerful servers. When it comes to R4 and all, it is more costly. R3. Then there is, accelerated power. These are for machine learning, high performance databases. Fluid dynamics, computational. If you wanted to do molecular modeling, these are all for big data analytics and all. You wanted P2 servers maybe. Difference is costlier servers. They are running, you can see that, they are having Broadwell processors. They are the latest processor. They have a NVIDIA, GPUs. They have processors that have graphic intensive cards attached to it. So you can have G2, their F1. These are F1 is actually a new model they just released for some research and financial, real-time video processing, big data search analytics and all, So there are different types of instance type, If you want to understand all this, I would say come and read about it. Now, the question that I wanted to answer is, how do you know what is the price of it? Now you need to do is you need to go and search for AWS Instance Pricing. So when you go to the pricing, you will see EC2 pricing. So that is another tab. Now when you go to the pricing, we will talk about on-demand and all. Let us talk about on-demand for now. I thought of doing all these things today, but it's not going to happen, I'm sure. So let's look at on-demand pricing. On-demand, with on-demand instance, you pay for the compute capacity by the hour with no long-term commitments. So there is no long-term commitments. If you pay for an hour. If you use a server for 1 hour, you pay for that 1 hour, and you shut it down, then you don't have to pay for anything. Or you delete it, then you don't have to even pay for hard disk. So it is like a pay-as-you-go model. On demand. This is where everybody starts with. This is where I want you guys to start. You cannot go for spot or dedicated or reserve or anything like that. We are all going to use on-demand pricing. So learn more about on-demand pricing. On-demand is recommended for certain things. You can read that and you can click on the on-demand pricing here. So here it comes, Amazon is giving licenses for you. So there are two options. You can bring your own license, or you can pay Amazon for the license. Amazon's images, these operating systems, you see that, right? Those AMIs come with the operating system. That means Amazon is already charging you for that license. They don't charge you $5,000 or $500. If you use a Windows 2016 server for 1 hour, you may pay probably 20 cents towards the license. You use that server for 1 hour, so they will make a calculation for that license cost and give you will pay a small amount. So it is included. That's how. Don't think that, Stanley, I know you asked that question, how do the license, do I need to pay for license? No, licensing, it's also as a service. If you use that server for 1 hour, that price includes the processor, that price includes the memory, that price includes the hard disk, that price also include the licensing of the operating system. Okay, so now pricing also varies based on your region. And I showed you yesterday, if you go to Virginia, you may get cheaper. Maybe you go to Tokyo, it may little be costlier. So here is the pricing, Devinder. I wanted to use a Windows operating system. That is what we're going to use, Windows Server 2016. It doesn't matter whether it is 2008 or anything, it's all same umbrella. So you click on a Windows Server, now the pricing changed, and you're going to use a T2 small. It comes with one CPU, 2 gig memory, and the price is $0.032 per hour. That is how much? 32 cents an hour. Not 32 cents actually, right?
3 cents.
It is 3 cents, 3.2 cents an hour. So if you run this server for 1 hour, you will pay 32 cents. I mean 3 cents for an hour. So if you run it for 24 hours, multiply that with 24. Now look at the price. If you look at this server M4 16 large, it has 64 CPUs, 180 gig, 256 gig memory, and the price for that is $6.47 per hour. That is not 3 cents, that is $6. But you're running a high-end server with 256 gig RAM and 64 processors. It is like a gigantic VM. It is M4 instance. So you can see different pricing. So I hope this is clear for you. You can see, I don't know which is the costliest server in Amazon's fleet. I see something here. There is a $7 thing. I think probably an i2. That is probably the costliest one. $7. I don't see anything. There is one, $19 here. $19 per hour. You know, this has a 1.95 terabytes of memory and 128 processors. So you can build unbelievable big VMs or servers in Amazon, and they guarantee that performance. Okay, if you're paying $19 an hour, Amazon is responsible and they make sure that you get the performance. But you know, just imagine if that server you are running $19, you know, let's take a calculator and just do a math here. So just imagine you are running at server $19. Let's make it rounded to $20. So $20 into 24 hours itself is $480 into 365 days is going to cost you $175,000 to run that VM for 1 year. So if you put that server, deploy that server, I'm sure your pricing alert will kick in probably in another 10 hours, correct? That is why I told you to put that pricing alert. Remember yesterday we did that, right? So if your pricing goes up, you will get that. So you will not end up paying $175,000. You get an alert saying that, okay, man, your billing is reaching $100 or crossing $50, so you can stop it. So accidentally also, if it happens, don't worry, even if you accidentally deploy, it's not going to kill you. It's only going to cost you $20. So alert is very useful, yes, because you don't know what you do. You don't know where the billing is happening. So that is why I wanted to show yesterday itself that you configure your alert first so that you know how much you are paying for your instance. All right, so let's go and complete and finish off this. I'm getting tired. I was continuously talking. So I'm going to pick a T2 small here. I can do a T2 micro. Why should I spend money? So I'm going to go with a T2 micro. I think it will take some more time to come up. We have 15 minutes. Okay. So I just picked the free tier. So that means I don't have to pay any money. You click on, you can actually launch right from here, but I'm going to click on Infigure details. This is, we are doing it in Mumbai. So in Mumbai, there is a default VPC here. That is only VPC. It is there. You can select that. For now, you guys just select that. Don't worry about it. If I want 5 of that VMs to be deployed, I can just put the number 5 and click OK. It is going to deploy how many VMs? It is going to create 5 instances with the same properties. If you put 20, you can put 20 of them. It will build 20 servers in 5 minutes. Make sense? But I don't want to do 20. I just want to build only one. Now, if you put 100, it is not going to do it. Amazon has certain limits. At a time, how many you can launch. I think they have some hard limits that you have to go and find out that, okay. There is a limit that one time how many you can do. But if you want to increase your limit, you can always open a support case with Amazon and they will increase your limit. If your need is to deploy 100 servers at one time, they can do that for you, but by default, I think it's 20 servers at a time. We will see how to create VPC and all later. Don't even do any of these things. Every VPC is the virtual private cloud. Within the VPC is actually your own private data center. That is how I would say. I will explain VPC later. But within the VPC, when you create your own data center, you are creating a data center in Amazon environment. This is called as a VPC. Inside the VPC, you can create different VLANs or subnets. Subnet is actually a IP network, and within the subnet is where you create your instance. So that is what we are doing. You select the VPC, then you select your subnet, and that is what we're going to do. Okay, we will be learning how to create those things later in the class. So I'm going to pick. There are two subnets here. In Mumbai, it is called as AP, Asia Pacific. AP stands for Asia Pacific South 1A in Mumbai. I'm going to give it a public IP address. These are things that you don't need to worry about it. It has a network card, Ec2. If you want additional network card, you can attach to it. You click next. It comes with a 30 gig hard disk. If you want to add additional hard drive, you can do that. You can give an additional 10 gig hard disk if you want. You can do that. If you want that to be a more high performance or cold magnetic, there are different type of volumes. Volumes are hard disk. We will learn these things later, but you can have different type of hard drives. By default, Amazon comes with SSD. That is the fastest and the best. If you want, you can encrypt that volume. Things like that. We will see all that things. Delete on termination is another thing, I'll talk about that. Delete on termination means when you remove that instance, it will delete that hard disk. Just keep that in mind. I will explain that later. You can add a tag here. This is where the tag, by default, the tag. So I'm going to call it as, server. Let's call it as, Mumbai SRV 001. That is the server name. If you want to add another tag for environment, you can do it here or you can do that later. This is the firewall. Right now, firewall is, we'll talk about all that next class. And if I need time to explain what is security group, it's already 10:50, guys. I don't want to cross 11 o'clock today for sure. But you can create a firewalls. You can give it a name, I'm going to call it as Mumbai-RDP. That is the security group or the firewall I'm creating. That means I can connect to it. You can decide who can connect to where. I just want to make sure that only I can connect to that. My IP, custom IP. We'll see all that. Right now I'm going to put it for anywhere. That's fine. Launch. You are ready. These are all the properties that you selected for your VM. It is saying it's free tier and launch. And now there is something called as key pair. I didn't get time to talk about key pair. You can create a key pair. So let me finish off that also, and then otherwise I have to repeat this again. So a key pair consists of a public key that AWS stores. So there is a public key that AWS keep it with you, and a private key that you use it. Okay, you will have a private key, and Amazon will have a public. It's a key value pair. You need that both combination to get the result out of it. Why do you need a key pair? Is because this is a Windows server we are going to launch, correct? In Azure it is little different, okay, but in Amazon it is a little tricky here, and that is what I'm trying to explain. Does anybody know the password of the administrator on this Windows Server 2016?
No.
Nobody knows.
Actually, That
Yeah.
you need to create, right?
What is that?
You need to create that, right?
No, you cannot
When you
create. That
create
is what I'm saying. In Microsoft, there is an option to do that in Azure, but in Amazon, that is not out. So Amazon, that instance, that AMI already has a user called administrator, and that administrator has a password, but you don't know that password. And Amazon don't want you to know that password because that same AMI will be deployed by different people. So there is a automatic way they generate a password. So if you want to know that password, you need to have a key pair. So what I'm going to do is you can come here and say create a new key pair. I can pick one key pair. I'm going to create a new key pair for our class. Always you need one key pair for your company. You can have multiple key pairs. So we're going to create a new key pair. I'm going to call it as a class 10 key pair. This file will be downloaded and you have to store it. It will be having an extension called PEM file, PEM. I'm going to download that key pair. So this is that key. I'm opening that file. It is right here. Class 10, where is it? Here it is, class 10 keypair.pem file. These are all different classes, class 7, class 6, these are all my different class key pairs. But we're going to use this key pair. I'm going to copy this key pair and I'm going to put it in the AWS Cloud Classroom here. So let's put it here. Okay, so that is the key pair. You got it. That is what you need to get the password of the server. Okay, and that we named it. There are some other options here. You can proceed without a key pair. You can choose an existing key pair, or you can create a new pair. So anyway, anyway, we created that class 10 key pair, and you just launch the instance. You need that key pair to get the password. That is the key here. So it is just launched. So Amazon in the backend, now you think in the Amazon Xenserver in a multi-tenant environment, who knows, there may be the VM where I am creating this instance, this test instance in Mumbai. Maybe ICICI Bank may have 3 servers there. Maybe Axis Bank may have 4 VMs running there. We don't know, but I am just creating in a multi-tenant environment, and this is the instance. You can see the view launch log. It will show you, it is successfully created the security group. It created the firewall rules. It created the tags, and the instance is getting ready. So if you go here, you can see that that instance is running. It is just initializing. So there is a status check. You will see 2 of 2. And you can see different properties. You can see it got a public IP address. You can see the key pair attached to it. There is so many things. So if what you want to see here in this tab, you can actually do that from this gear. You can pick and choose what you want to see. You want to see the VPN ID. If you don't want to see the instance alarm status or public DNS or key name and monitoring and things like that, you can actually remove that. But this is where you pick and choose what attributes you want to see. You can have your multiple tags shown here. Right now there is only name tag. If you want to have environment and all, you can pick that. Right now this does not have multiple tags. That's why you see here. So what you want to see here, you have an option to do that. Okay, so let's wait for this instance to come up, and we'll see that. So if you go here, now you can see here that instance come up. The instance has an ID. It has a public DNS name. You can see from here, you can see the properties of that instance. You can see the instance ID. It says it is running. You can see the instance type. It is a T2 micro. It has a private IP address and a public IP address. We will talk about that. It is both. It only has one network card. That is this network card. It is Ec2. That is the network card. If you click on that, you can see the properties of that network card. We will learn all that little later. You can see the firewall that is attached to it. You can see the public IP address. You can see the private IP address. Quite some options are there. these are the two hard drives. The first hard drive, that is EBS volume, elastic block storage, which is a 30 gig volume. So if you go to the volumes tab here, you can see the two hard drives. You can see that two hard drive volumes are nothing but your hard drives. So these are the two volumes, a 10 gig volume and a 30 gig volume that is attached to your instance. You can see the instance ID here. You can see that it is in south. There is a lot of things that you need to understand here. This is where a lot of people do mistakes. We will look into that. But this is the two hard drives of the instance that we just launched. This is in Mumbai, AP South 1A availability zone. What that means is it is in this data center. That is where this hard disk is. That is where this instance is running. So these are the hard drives of the instance. And then, another general step, you can see the key pair attached to it. You can see who the owner is. I am the owner because my ID is showing there. And then there are some other, these are not very important. They are some kernel properties and all. Don't worry about these things. But these are very important things. So the instance is still in the process of coming up. Since it is a T2 micro, it will take little more time. And this is the first time the instance will take some time because they have to run some scripts and all in the backend. So it will take around 3-4 minutes. But subsequent reboots, and if you power off the server and then power it on, it will come up fast. First time when you're launching an instance, it will take some time. It looks like it is ready already. It came up pretty fast. I'm very glad that it came up. You can see that 2 of 2 checks. Now you can connect to that server. You know the public IP address of the server. So I can copy that, or I can go to on RDP. I'm going to do an RDP session to that. What is the IP address? 35.154.26.77. Let's see. Okay, it did connect it. Do you know what is the username?
Administrator.
How do you know?
No, we need to get it from the key
Right.
store,
Do you know the password? We don't know. We don't know the username. We don't know the password. It's a problem. So when you first time launching an instance, you cannot do that. What you need to do is you just click on this connect button here. You click on that. It will first come up with an option saying, okay, username is administrator. Okay. So I know now the username, but now I need to know the password. So you need to get the password. If you want to get the password, you have to use the key pair that is attached to it. So do you have this key? If you lose this key pair, forget it. You're done with it. You cannot never get into that box. I mean, like in the first class or somewhere, somebody asked me, there are some ways to do that. Let's not explore that right now. But I want to know the password, so click on get password. So it's asking, hey, where is your key pair? Which is the key pair? So I'm going to choose my key pair file, which is actually on my desktop in the AWS cloud. I have the class 10 keypair.pem file. Open it and decrypt password. Here it is. This is that long password I need to connect to my server. I have the password now. Keep it with you. And now you can actually use RDP to connect to that server. Okay, where is it? Now I know the password. 35.154.26.77. You know the username is administrator, and you know the password. I'm just going to paste it here. And okay, so we are connecting to the first Windows 2016 server. That server by default has a name. This is a name that is automatically generated by the operating system. They do some sysprep and all. We will learn that a little later how this name. You have to change this name. If you want to call it as Mumbai Server 001, that is not the name of the operating system. I would recommend the first time when you log in, you should change that name to this name if you want it. That's all up to a Windows name. I'm not going to teach Windows here, but that is how companies do. So we are connecting to that server right now. Okay, here it is. This is how a Windows Server 2016 looks like. Can you guys, anybody try to ping this server? Okay, this is how a Windows Server 2016 looks like. Okay. Can anybody ping 35.154.26.77? Can you please try?
Yeah, it's not pingable
Can you
actually.
paste it? Can you paste it somewhere, like can you send it in
It is
chat?
right here. It's on the top here. You can see the IP address.
Yeah, it's not pingable,
I
Deepak.
can able to connect it.
You don't try RDP. Can you ping it? That is my question.
Yeah, I'm not able to ping it actually. I'm
Yes,
getting
it's
timeout
working.
request.
Okay. Why I am not able to? Why are you not able to ping? Because I have not opened the firewall for it. If you look at the security group, I told you security group is the firewall. If you look at this firewall, you can see that the firewall is only allowing RDP port 3389 from 000. Now, do you guys want to ping it? Yes. You want to ping it? I can open that port. I will come to the edit button. I will add a rule here. I'll come here and I will say ICMP. And I'm going to say
ICMP.
anywhere and save. Can you guys ping now?
Yes.
You can ping, correct? Because now I opened RDP, ping ICMP port. So this is the firewall. We will learn more about security groups later. But anyway, the server is now ready. You can ping, and this is a Windows. See, it's pretty much working fine. It's a T2 micro free instance. You know, this is what you need for learning. You don't need to go for a T2 extra large and pay $5, $3 or 50 cents. You know, this is free tier. You can do everything. You want to learn Windows Server? I think, you know, Karthik, where is Karthik? Is he in the class? Karthik, you know, if you want to learn, is there? Karthik?
Yeah,
All
yes,
right.
yes,
If
Deepak.
you want to learn, you guys, you start using these type of instances. This is what you need to do. Okay. Don't go for crazy servers and end up paying all the money. But for learning a Windows server, you can deploy 10 of them and use it. It is not going to cost you any money. You can use up to 750 hours. But the only thing is, once you finish your class, go and shut down that server. Otherwise, you simply paying money for it. You know. So
I
this is
am
why I
still
said,
not
you know,
able to ping.
this is why I said everybody should have your own lab. You know, a lot of people ask me, hey, am I providing a lab? No, I'm not providing a lab. Where Amazon is providing great stuff for free, then why should I provide a lab? You know, so take advantage of these things and use it. All right.
Is there? Is it still there? Like, I'm unable to ping this.
Okay. If you cannot ping, you are in an office or somewhere, you may not be able to. But I think there are at least 2-3 people able to ping. If they can ping it, you should be able to, whoever it is. But I don't know.
I'm unable to ping it either, Deepu actually.
Okay. Where are you sitting?
In my home.
Okay. Who said you can ping? Somebody said you can ping, right? Let me see. Can I ping first?
I'm getting timeout request.
Let me see. Ping 35.154.26.77. Okay, it's not ping. Okay, somebody said it can be pinged. Okay, we'll fix it. Let us go and find out why it is not pinging. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go here. We want to look at it is a port range. It is all ICMP. I have a feeling that you know, this is all the experience. You know, so I know there is no problems here. I see the firewall is open for anybody. I can RDP it, but I'm still not able to ping. Can anybody tell me what will be the reason? I have some thoughts, but can anybody tell me what will be the reason?
We need to check the routing table. Probably it may not be attached to the public thing.
No. Yes, that could be. That is not the answer. What I think is a problem is there may be a firewall inside the Windows server which is blocking it. Oh, I think I shut down that server. That's why. I shut down the server. That's why. Okay. So I will power it on. You can ping it. Could be Windows Firewall. That is the second step, but it should be able to ping. I don't think Amazon put that. I think somebody pinged earlier, right? Who said that? Somebody told me that he was able to ping. Who did it? Okay, now it is coming up, so you should be able to ping now. So you can always use a -T here. -T is continuous ping. Once it comes up, it will start pinging. Let's watch here. If you put a -T, then you don't have to worry about it. It will continuously ping. Okay.
It's still initializing.
Yeah, that's why it's still initializing. Let it come up, and then we can troubleshoot what is the problem. Remember, this is in Mumbai, okay? And still I didn't see any latency or anything. You see that I was able to connect. It was working perfectly fine. It was going over the WAN link across the seas, and I was still able to access it pretty fast. Okay, it is still up, but it is still not able to ping. So I think now it could be a Windows firewall.
Public IP in the instance is different, Deepu.
Might be.
35.154.
You're right. You got it, man. That is what I like. So you found it. That's the problem. The IP address is 226.
123.226.
It's still unpingable actually.
Okay, let's see. Okay. So the issue is, you see that the server's got a different IP after I power on. It should not happen. I don't know why in Mumbai that happens. It was 77 before, but now it got a different IP. That should have never happened.
I think you didn't pick the static IP address, right?
No, we cannot ping static IP address. I mean, it can change. We'll talk about those scenarios tomorrow.
I have noticed this, Deepu, like once you stop the instance and once you restart it back, the public IP address keeps changing.
Yes, it can change. Sometimes it cannot, but private IP will never change. Public IP can change. If you don't want a public IP to be changed, then you have to use something called as elastic IP. We will talk about that later. Let it come up. I just wanted to see why it is. It should ping actually. I don't know why. Anyway, I'm not going to do much troubleshooting here, but let's see. Okay, I just want to quickly look at the firewall. firewall is on, that's why. Well, now you can ping.
Now we can ping it, yes.
Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so it was actually a Windows firewall that was causing the problem. Okay. All right, so thanks guys. We'll stop here today.